Hi! Oh, wow, that was very high pitched. Hi, welcome to my channel. I have just been out for breakfast and had a very large coffee, and now I'm feeling a little bit like, let's film a video. So, apologies. I'll try and breathe. Today, I thought I would film. There's a new mum tag that's been going around that the lovely Emily Norris started, and I thought I would do it. I think I said in the last video, I'm trying to just focus on making videos that I enjoy watching because I feel like that's the best thing that you can do. And I think there's some videos out there that get made a lot and get a lot of views on other people's channels, but they're just not stuff that feels like it comes naturally to me and that I would enjoy making. And I think it's easy to start feeling like you need to be doing what everyone else is doing, otherwise you're not, I don't know, there's like, I feel like we put this weird pressure on ourselves to be keeping up with other people and doing the same thing as everyone else. But I thought I'd try and just make videos that I enjoy making. I'm waffling. It's the coffee. So if you haven't watched our videos before, my name's Ruth. I am a mum of two. I've got Nova, who just turned 1 a few weeks ago, and Jet, who turns 3 in May. I'm 29, I turned 30 this year, which I'm not feeling okay about. Anyway, let's just do the tag. So, first question, favourite mum hack? If Jet doesn't want to do something, and so we're really struggling at the moment with him getting dressed in the morning, he never wants to get dressed, or if I'm trying to get him to leave somewhere, he doesn't want to leave, anything where he doesn't want to do something, I give him 2 options, and then he feels like he's getting a choice, but actually I'm still making him do the thing I want. So like getting dressed, he never wants to get dressed, so then I say, do you want to wear this or this? And then he picks the thing he wants to wear, and he feels like he's got control of the situation, but I'm actually making him get dressed even though he didn't want to. Or like with leaving the playground, he never wants to leave the park to come home, so then I say, you know, do you want to scoot or do you want to have a race with mummy? And then he feels again like he's getting to pick what's happening, and then he kind of forgets that I'm making him leave even though he didn't want to leave. So yeah, found that very helpful. Most embarrassing mum moment. I should have thought of my answers to this before I started filming. This is very off the cuff. Jet's just getting into that stage where he is painfully honest, and he doesn't mean to be rude. He just points everything out. Like at the moment, I've got a cold sore on my lip, and he is always pointing out and asking me what's on my face and what's wrong with my lip and why have I got an ouchie and did I fall over? And I've had a few moments like that. They haven't been like super awkward, but I feel like we're approaching that stage where it's going to get worse, where he really stares at someone, or like a guy was going past in a wheelchair and he was like absolutely staring at him and like trying to touch the wheels, and just like makes so much more of a thing of it than we feel comfortable doing. Like we're all so used to just being like, oh, it's fine, everything's normal, and like pretending like we don't see stuff, which in a way there's probably a better, like there's probably quite a good middle ground of like acknowledging situations but not making them super cringe. I feel like Jet's at that stage where it's like, I'm worried as well as his vocab gets better, he's gonna start actually like verbally pointing things out, and it's gonna be really awkward. Next up, what part of the day do you love the most? like 6:45 p.m. when they've both just gone down and I come through to the living room and it's just quiet. Is that bad though, because they're asleep? I actually do really like the bedtime, bath time routine. If Henry's here, doing it together is less overwhelming. We start it quite early, so I feel like we have quite a lot of fun, and seeing them play together in the bath is just the loveliest thing. I think the bath for me has always been like a bit of a thing. Like I remember when Jet was little, seeing him play in the bath was always what made me know I wanted another child, because he just always looked a bit lonely just splashing about on his own. And so now seeing them together, and also now Nova's not a newborn and she's actually fun and splashes around with him, I just always find it really special seeing them playing together and just being really sweet. And but you also know that it's chill time in like half an hour, which is a great feeling. What part of the day do you like the least? I'd say at the moment it's probably nap time in the day, because Jet is at that really difficult stage where he doesn't really want a nap but still kind of needs one. So I'm still trying to put him down just with his books to have a little read. A couple of times a week he falls asleep. On the other days he doesn't, and he really fights it and he doesn't want it, but then he's overtired if he doesn't have it. So it's just this annoying part of the day at the moment that's just a bit of a battle. I can never decide whether to just ignore it and just not put him down at all, but then I know he needs it, and then sometimes he does fall asleep. So yeah, it's always this part of the day, and I think I've been so used to having that part of the day as like a nice chilled quiet moment to like have lunch and do some work or just sit down, that I'm kind of mourning the end of that stage of our life. The worst thing someone said to you when you were pregnant. People are just weird when you're pregnant. I don't know what it is. People just say awful things. I feel like people suddenly feel like they have, I don't know, that they suddenly have like a right to say stuff to you, or it's the touching, like people just randomers coming and touching your stomach. It's so bizarre. What I find really annoying as well is, at least if everyone said the same thing, you'd be like, okay, that must be true. But I'd have both extremes where people would be like, you've got no bump at all, like, oh, I can't believe you're that far along. And then someone else would be like, oh, is it twins? Oh, you due next week? And you're like, no, I'm like 4 months pregnant. So I feel like people always say really extreme statements, but then also they like completely contradict each other. I guess the worst comments were probably when I was pregnant with Nova, and just everyone being like, oh, it's gonna be awful, you don't know what's coming. I remember one mum, I was like, oh, what's it like having two? And I'm there like naively with my little bump and my 18-month-old, and she was like, oh, it's effing awful. And I was like, oh, great, so glad I asked. Oh, and I was just about to say like, oh, feel free to be honest, but she'd like already been very honest before I'd even said that. So that was hard. It's ironic because then actually having two did end up being really hard, but I think people could have maybe warned me in like a nicer, softer, gentler way than like terrifying a pregnant mother. A baby name you didn't agree on. Off the top of my head, Henry really liked Amos, A-M-O-S, and it just reminds me of anus, which I know, I'm sorry if you know anyone called Amos, like it is a sweet name, but I just hit anus, and I'm worried that because I think that then sometimes I'll like accidentally say it and just couldn't risk it. Did you co-sleep? No, I really wanted to. I was like down with co-sleeping. Neither Jet nor Nova have wanted to co-sleep at all. So they both slept in bedside cribs, and then both moved out at about 6 months into their own bedrooms. And they both slept on me or Henry a little bit when they were tiny, like newborn, but more just for like an hour here or there if they were having a bit of a tricky night, and then we put them back in their crib. We just never felt the need to co-sleep. They were really happy in their bed. And I remember the same with both of them. They both would really like to cuddle to sleep, and then both yeah, probably about the time we moved them out, like about 5 or 6 months, both of them just started getting really annoyed if you held them when they wanted to go to sleep, and they'd both, you'd put them down and they'd be like, oh yes, finally, and then just like drift off, like Jet with his dummy or Nova with her thumb. They'd just drift off really happily and not want to be held. I remember when Jet was maybe about 18 months and he had a sickness bug and Henry was away, and so I brought him in my bed, and he just was like, wow, what is this? And like completely woke up and was like jumping around the bed and just thought it was like the funniest thing ever to be in my bed in the night. And I was like, what have I done? And then took the next like 2 hours trying to resettle him and get him to go back to sleep in his bedroom. And then since then, a couple of times when he's been really ill, he slept in our bed, and I've really liked the idea of it in principle, but then Henry's ended up on the floor, and I've ended up with a child that insists, I don't know how he knows, but just insists on sleeping horizontally across the bed. So I've just got a foot in my face, or then he spins around and he's like headbutting me, and I have these pictures in my head of what it'd be like to co-sleep, and that has not happened for us. Something you bought but never use, I'm assuming child-wise. With Nova, dummies. We bought dummies because Jet had them, so we bought them for her, and she just absolutely didn't want them. She was very dramatic and would gag and act like we were choking her, and then ended up wanting to suck her thumb anyway. With Jet, I don't know, we tried to keep all of our baby paraphernalia to such a minimum that I think we actually ended up using everything we bought, I'd say. Oh, with Jet, I had a feeding pillow. I was just given it by a friend, one of those ones that goes around you and you like have to sit to kind of rest while you're feeding him, and I just never used it. I felt like I was really comfortable anyway, and I felt like it was never there when I needed it, and then I just grab a cushion if I needed it and just like put it under my elbow or something, and that would be comfortable enough. And so it would always be in the wrong room, and then I'd be like, oh, I could use that, and then it wasn't there, and yeah, so I wouldn't recommend those. There's so much gumph, and a lot of it you don't need. 3 hospital bag must-haves. Treat yourself to new pajamas, a really, really comfortable outfit for the next day, like just something really comfortable and soft and nice and familiar. So with Jet, I had him in hospital. With Nova, I had her at home. So obviously with Nova, it was very different. With Jet, I'd say much bigger sanitary towels than you think you need. I just packed like quite normal, like you're on your period sanitary towels. and actually ended up buying incontinence pads just for the first few days, and just a really lovely, nice body lotion, shampoo, conditioner, all those kind of things. I just found that first shower after having the baby, what's in hospital is, well, I don't think there even is anything, there's just the shower, but just something really nice to feel like you've got really fresh, clean hair, moisturized skin, like your nice face cream, just all those things that you just feel like yourself and you feel clean and fresh and a bit more awake and alive. I found that was really nice to have. Are you a routine mum or a go with the flow mum, and what does bedtime look like? I think I'm a bit of both. I think you have to have some routine, otherwise you just go crazy. And I think your children need it. I think they need to kind of semi-know what's happening in their day, or like at least like kind of bedtime and nap times are like roughly set, just that they think children respond well to some structure. But then I like within that structure to then be able to kind of do what we want if we want to, and change it around if that's what works for us on that day. But in generally, I'd say we have like a rough routine in terms of do the same thing every morning, like in terms of like the order and like getting up and breakfast and getting dressed and all those kind of things happen in the same way. And then we do an activity in the morning, and then usually, unless it's a day where we're doing something different, like usually come home and do their lunch and nap times, and then have like an afternoon activity, and then they normally have dinner at about 5, and then tend to start bath at about 5:30, 5:45, and then they have their milk while we're getting them dressed because it just keeps them still. So they have their milk and get dressed at like 6, 6:15, and then they're both normally ready for their stories and bedtime at about 6:30, 6:45. So I guess it's kind of routine. I don't feel like a routine mum, but I guess when I think about it, we do have quite a routine. I have got videos of our morning routine and our bath bedtime routine if you want to watch. I will link them below. What type of labour did you have? What pain relief did you choose? So my labour with Jet, so Jet's my first, and I had him in hospital here in Brighton. So I had the majority of the labour at home. It was amazing. We did hypnobirthing all in the build up, and then for the labour we used it, and it completely changed my labour. Like I know 100% my labour would have been different without it. There were definitely moments where I felt myself getting really scared and really panicked, and having the tools of hypnobirthing to use to calm me, Henry being able to help me because he'd done the hypnobirthing training as well. Oh, it was amazing. And I know our births were completely different because of it. So Jet, we laboured at home for majority. Again, I've got my birth stories of both of them if you want to watch them like properly. But yeah, went into hospital with Jet, and then he was born 2 hours later in water. I had a water birth with him, and it was amazing. I didn't have any pain relief, but I would say that water is a pain relief. Like water is amazing. I could instantly, the moment I got in, I felt my weight lift and the pain just like lift, and oh, it was just so soothing and amazing. And I think the actual birth as well is made so much easier by being in water, because I think you're just everything's a lot more supple and soft and just kind of flows a lot nicer. I'm obsessed with water births. And then Nova was very similar, but here we had a pool in this room. Laboured all at home and then had her in water. And again, so with Jet I didn't have gas and air. I didn't like the idea of being kind of taken away, which is funny because I think people think that's a lot of what hypnobirthing is, but hypnobirthing actually is like you're very present. It's not like a hypnotherapy type thing. It's more just like understanding the links between your mental state and how that affects your physical state, but you're still very much present. And I didn't like the idea that gas and air makes you go a bit loopy and takes you out the room, so I didn't even try it with Jet. And then with Nova, I was knackered. I'd been up all night and it was about 8 AM. With the first one you dilate like quite periodically, and with the second one you could be 2 centimeters and then just like jump to 10 centimeters. So they find it, well, this is what the midwife told me anyway. She said they find it a lot harder to know how far along you are the second time. So I remember the midwife saying like, we're not sure how far along you are. This could still be the beginning. We're not really sure. And I'd been going for like, you know, the night and the day, and so I was like, this cannot be the beginning. And I had a moment of just feeling really disheartened. So I tried gas and air because I was like, I can't keep going with these intense contractions if it's then gonna be like another day. So tried gas and air, took one breath and was like, that is horrible. I just didn't like it at all. And then she was born like 10 minutes later. But yeah, both births, I feel very lucky that they're very, very positive, happy memories for me, and they were very special. And I think part of that's luck, but I think a big, big part of that is thanks to hypnobirthing and all the kind of prep we did beforehand, and our amazing midwives. I was so lucky both times round. My midwives were lovely midwives who were really supportive, really got hypnobirthing, were really encouraging, were kind of involved when I wanted them to be and step back when I wanted them to without me having to say. Loved my midwives. Have you ever been mum shamed? Yes, sadly. I've talked about it a lot on my blog and on here as well. Actually, I did a video recently. The last year with Jet I found quite tricky with his behaviour. Very normal 2-year-old, 3-year-old behaviour, especially of a boy. He just has been going through quite a physical stage of a lot of snatching and pushing and pulling, which I found really hard to parent and to persist and to know that it's a stage, even though when this stage is lasting like a year, to know that this isn't just him for his life. This is just a 2-year-old exploring and expressing. And in that season I've had quite a few run-ins with just very, very judgy mums, most recently being at this play cafe. It was 2 run-ins in one morning, which was just unfortunate. The first one, the mum wasn't awful at all, but was just a bit harsh with me, and then actually ended up coming over and apologising. But then the next time he was in a bit of a tussle with a child, which actually annoyingly as well, looking back, I wish I'd said something, because it was very even. Like, he was really pulling the girl, but then the girl jumped in on this car that he wanted to go in. So it was, I'm not condoning what he did. It was a lot more even than I said to the mum at the time. Anyway, this mum was just really nasty, and it was just ironic as well, because she was telling me off for the behaviour of my child, but the way she behaved in front of her child was awful, and it's just such a shame that that's what her girl is seeing, that her little girl like watched her speak like that to someone else. That's what I couldn't really get my head around. Like, yes, my child is being tricky, but as the parent leading by example, I'm trying to like show him what kindness and calmness looks like. So it just felt quite ironic that then they were then seeing this mum act in such a way. Anyway, and then I just went off with Jet and then looked around, and that group of mums were all like talking about him, like, oh, did you see that little boy? Oh yeah, oh the one that was pushing, oh, he's been pushing all morning. And we're just like bitching about me and my child, which was just like heart drop to the floor moment. It was horrible. The biggest challenges you've faced since becoming a mum: keeping yourself, keeping who you are as a person outside of being a parent, who you were before you had a child, that you're not just Ruth the mum, you're also Ruth that enjoys this and enjoys that and is trained in this and worked in that, and like everything that makes you who you were before becoming a mum. I found that was a challenge I wasn't expecting, of like kind of keeping hold of that and not feeling like you lose your identity in amongst this new identity you've got, and this new identity which is amazing, and I love being the mum of Jet and Nova, but also being yourself as well. The best advice you've ever been given, biggest piece of advice you'd give to a new mum. I'd say the best advice I was given, I worked as a nanny before having children, and I remember when I was a nanny, the mum I worked for, I remember her saying, you will be given loads and loads of advice. The most helpful thing you can do for yourself is to listen to everything and then have the kind of self-assurance in who you are as a parent, to know what bits of advice you want to take and what bits you just want to ignore, and to just to be able to think for yourself. And so like, just because you hear someone say one thing, that doesn't mean that's gospel and you have to follow it, and actually to think, okay, that's interesting, but I'm going to ignore that piece of advice because I think this. Sorry, just randomly stopped filming. Biggest piece of advice I'd give, other than that, I'd say have fun and don't take it too seriously. I think the hardest days I have are the days where I'm like, I'm taking this so seriously, like I need to chill out. Taking myself seriously, or taking parenting seriously, or thinking that the effects of this one day are going to be catastrophic on my children, like just taking it all very seriously. Just like taking a breath and enjoying the day and enjoying my children and enjoying our life together, rather than being like, we've got to get here for this time, or we've got to do this, or he's got to eat that, or I haven't finished this. Getting quite like tense and stressed and serious. I think just enjoy it and be able to laugh at the situation, laugh at yourself, laugh at the ridiculousness that is your life when you've got sick on you and someone's just like tried to pull your trousers down in front of everyone. Jet, at the moment, I'm like, oh Jet, I'm just gonna go for a wee, and he's like, okay mummy, I'll come and watch you. Just to be able to laugh at your life and how this is what it's become. Who's your mum crush and who do you tag? That's the last question. I don't think I have a mum crush, because I think of all the mums I follow on Instagram and YouTube, I think everyone is doing an amazing job. I wouldn't want to like pick a specific person. I think there's a lot of mums that I'm like, you're cool, I'd love to be like you. And then I tag anyone that wants to do this video. Such a cop-out. I've seen a few people do that, which is why I then ended up filming it. Anyone that fancies filming it, please film it. It's a fun one to film. I'd love to watch your video. And if you do, comment below if you're going to film. Let me know so that I can watch yours as well. Bit of a cop-out answer. But yeah, that was fun. I hope that wasn't too long. Thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. It means a lot. And have a lovely week. And we'll see you soon. Peace out.